Hi, my name's Susan. Welcome back. We're on Chapter 3, Fractions and Related Concepts. We're on page 83 for those of you who have bought the book and you're following along. Greatest common factor and least common multiples. The greatest common factor is the largest number that divides two numbers evenly. You'll find the greatest common factor by following the steps below. We've got the number 16, so 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4, right? And 20 is 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 4. 4 times 5. Right? So the greatest common factor here is 4, not 5, 8, 16, 10, or 20. The one that they share in common, the largest one. I want you to list the factors of each of the numbers below and then circle the greatest common factor. Now, in the bubble it also says the division method also works, which if you take 20 and divide it by 10, you'll get 2. Divide by 5, you'll get 4. The bubble at the bottom asks you a question as usual. What do you think we can use the GCF for in other parts of math? You might want to say simplification or reducing fractions, all very good answers. Okay, so we're on to page 84 next. All right, so page 84, we're going on to more GCF, and there's a word problem in our near future here. So the greatest common factor of 24 and 18. 24 is 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. The factors of 18 are 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. Now, the common factors these two numbers share are 1, 2, 3, and 6, although the greatest common factor is 6. So I want you to write the GCFs of each of the pairs of numbers and circle. And don't skip over any of the new vocabulary. New vocabulary right now is really important to get under your belt. The word problem at the bottom has Joni with 2 pieces of rope. One is a 15-foot piece of rope and the other is 20. Now this is still just GCF. So the greatest common factor between 15 and 20, and you can write them all out, is in fact 5, right? So we've got 15, 1 and 15, 3 and 5. 20, 1 and 20, 2, 10, and 4 and 5. So how many pieces of 5-foot rope do we have all together? That's the problem, all right? And I'll give you a couple seconds. You got 3 times 5, and you got 4 times 5. So how many is that all together? If you came up with 7, you're correct. Very good. We're going to go on to the next page, 85. Great. Okay, page 85. We're now finding the GCF for 3 numbers. And the greatest common factor of our example, 20, 30, and 40. We're going to underline, circle, or highlight, whatever you want, for all 3 numbers. And then all the common factors of these 3 numbers are 1, 2, 5, and 10. That greatest common factor is the one they share, the largest number, 10. Now, obviously the trick is what we call outside to inside. For example, again on factoring the number 20. So we go 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. All right, so go ahead and list all the factors for these 3 numbers and then find the GCF for that. If you have found one factor, remember you automatically know the other factor, right? Using the division method or the multiplication method. Great. Page 86, least common multiples. So multiples are the numbers that we multiply into a number. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So 6 and 12, as you can see in the example, 18, 24, 30, these are multiples of 6. If you remember skip counting, that's multiples of like 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? So multiples of 4, 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3, 4 times 4, 4 times 5, 20. The least common multiple is the lowest number that two numbers can divide into. So in this case, it's the number 12, not the number 24, the least common multiple. But for right now, what I want you to do is just to go ahead and find 6 multiples of the following numbers. So 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 2 is 14, and so on, right? Great. We'll go on to the next page. Go ahead and finish this and continue. So we're going to continue with LCM, and the example here is 5 and 12. So we're going to list the multiples of both those numbers, and the least common one we will, in this case, underline. You can circle, highlight, do whatever you want there. So now we're going to find the least common multiples of pairs of numbers. So in the case of the example, 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 5 times 3, 5 times 4, as well as 12. Working it continually out until you find a number that they share. In this case, the least common multiple is 60. So we're going to do it with 3 and 4, and like 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 6, 3 times 4, 12, kind of giving you a clue what's the least common multiple. 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3, 12. So that would be our least common multiple for these two numbers. Can any of your answers from the previous pages help us here? I want you to remember this tip too. This is all in all math books, that they'll have repetitive examples and repetitive problems that you don't have to go and work out all over again, especially really long ones. So be smart, learn smart, and refer back. All right? So go ahead and finish page 87 and answer the questions here. The bottom question is, what is the LCM for 12 and 20? What is your best guess on this question? And write out all of the multiples. Think about the answers and what sounds reasonable. All right? Great. And we'll see on page 88. Page 88 is divisibility rules. Divisibility rules help find factors of very large numbers. A lot of the rules are easy, 2, 5, and 10. If the number is an even number, it will be divisible by 2. If the number ends in 0, it'll be divisible by 10. If the number ends in 5, it'll be divisible by 5. Now, there are very complicated rules, for example, 8, which is the one I've given here. And to memorize these is quite difficult, but you do your best if you need to. So if the hundreds digit is even, like in 624 in the example, then the last 2 digits is divisible by 8. That's the divisibility rule for 8. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways to come up with divisibility rules for 8. That's such a hard word for me. We're going to move on, but if you want to learn more about divisibility rules, then we can go to Wikipedia to look them all up. All right, thanks. Cool. Page 89, this is the last page for this particular video. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you get notifications each time I put out a new set of pages for preparing for algebra. So here we go. So our last page, tricks to LCM. Now, least common multiple, this is a great trick. So when you're finding the common multiple, the common denominator for fractions, for example. So we're going to find the GCF of two numbers. Our example, 18 and 30. GCF is 6. You can go ahead and prove that out. Then take one of the numbers after doing the division, like 5, and multiply it to the other number. 5 times 18 gives us 90. So 90 is our LCM in this case of these two numbers. Another example is we're going to take the denominators of uncommon fractions, 16 and 24. Choose one of the two denominators, in this case 16, and divide the denominator you picked by the GCF of those two numbers, which is 8, gives you 2. And then you multiply the 2 times the other number, 24. That'll give you the least common multiple. 2 times 24 is 48. Go ahead and prove this trick below with the two numbers, 16 and 24. And we'll see you tomorrow or whenever you're ready to go on to the next page, page 90. All right, bye.